Can you see the slides now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We can see.
Okay, great. Super. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. I think last time we covered the hazards identifications, right? If you recap that one, what do you mean by the hazards? How you define the hazard? Anybody can answer for this question.
Hazard is a potential harm in the human.
Potential
Yeah.
to cause harm.
Anything which has a potential to cause a harm. Examples: electricity, chemicals, sound,
Fire.
high noise,
Fire.
Temperature.
or temperature, fire, high temperature, low temperature, fire, biological hazards, machinery hazard, those
At
things.
height.
Sorry, working at height, yeah. Cut hazards, those things we can consider as a hazard.
Vibration.
And also we learned that hazard itself will not make any harm. In order to make any harm, what need to happen?
Yeah,
Hazardous events need to happen. That means you have to contact with hazard. Then for hazard event, we learn two things. One is the likelihood of contacting with that particular hazards, and if it's contact, what would be the severity, right? Or severity or harm. We learned that. Today we are going to just learn about why we have to carry out the assessment, then how we should carry out the assessments, right? We are going to carry out today. During the today's session we will learn. Right. Okay. Right. We learn these terms. Just I recap. We have learned this as well. This also we learn. Generic factory hazards we learn, right? Work at slippery faults, hot surface, overhead danger, moving machine, hot liquid, gas or chemical, rotating device, fire, electricity explosion, sharp edges, dust, also has noise, vibration, vehicle and transport, manual handling and ergonomic, aggression and violence. Under the vehicle and transport, you can consider moving vehicles or reversing vehicles or forklift hazard. Those things you can consider. All right. Right. Hazardous events, we learn about that. Then we talk about this likelihood and the consequence, right? How likely we are contacting that particular hazard. It could be low or it could be high, right? Consequence, if what would be the outcome if the hazards events happen? What would be the outcome? It could be end up with the minor injury or ill health or something. It's a low. If it is end up with the fatal, it is high. Likewise, the risk. Normally, risk is a combination of likelihood of the hazardous event occurring and the consequence of that thing, right? We said likelihood and the consequence of that particular. Normally, we are saying risk equal likelihood into consequence of the hazardous event. How likely that particular hazardous event happen, and if it's happened, what would be the consequence? Based on that, we are saying, right, we get the risk level, right? If the likelihood of contacting with that electricity, for example, assume there's a plug point broken where we are normally passing through that area, or where it is very close to that particular light switch in a room, right? Then normally likelihood of contacting with that exposed wire, live electricity is high, likelihood is high. The consequence, see, consequence, if it's happened, what will be happen? Definitely it end up with the death or something. Then the consequence also high. Then the risk of having the electrocution is really high, right? Understood? You got the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. Right. Then it's very important. Main aim of the researchment to protect workers' health and safety. Because it's very important we have to get protects our workers. And it is also help to minimize the possibility of workers or environment harm. Not only, workers, as well as the environment also, right? Environmental damage or any sort of property damage, those things also will reduce or minimize if we carry out the assessments and take the necessary controls, right? Okay. We will go ahead with the assessment process, right? Normally, when we go ahead with the assessment process, we identify the hazards. They have to analyze, evaluating the associated risks with that, determine ways to eliminate or control the hazards, right? Likewise, we go ahead with that. And now what I want is I want you to come up with the reasons. What would be the benefit of risk assessment, right? I know some of me, risk assessment is a process where we are identifying the hazards. Thereafter, we are, based on the hazards events, likelihood and severity, from that we get the risk level. Then we come up with the control to, reduce the risk of that particular hazardous events happening. All right. In that case, just, come up with ideas why we require this assessment for organization. What is the reason behind this?
We can find level of risk.
Okay, level of risk. Okay, right. What else? Any ideas?
We can identify the risks and eliminate it.
Okay, one is we can identify the risk and eliminate it. What are the other benefits of having the risk assessment?
Cost.
Why?
Minimize the accident.
Yeah, we can minimize the accidents. Okay, we can identify in which ways that accidents can happen and we evaluate the risk. Then we can set up the controls, right? Okay. Anything else?
We can decide the control measures.
Okay, we can decide the control measures. Okay, what else?
We can prioritize the risks and we can decide for the remedial actions.
Good, good. That's a one point, right? By doing the assessments, we can prioritize the risk. We can come up with what are the high risks, or for example, for organization, what would be the 5 main risks, health and safety risks related to that sort of organization, right? Based on that, we can, give our priority in order to reduce those things, right? Okay, great, right. What else? What else? What would be the benefit of having this assessment? Why it is important to conduct the assessment? In other way, if I raise the question in a different manner, right? Why it is important to carry out the assessment in the organization?
Identify all possible risks.
Okay, we talk about the identifying all possible risks, prioritize the risks. Apart from that,
preventing the risk as the design stage.
Preventing the risk at the designing stage. Okay, then we know exactly during the design we can, reduce or eliminate that particular hazards. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. We can ensure the health and safety of the workers as well as the environment.
Okay, ensure the health and safety workers and environment. Okay.
To prepare the emergency preparedness plans.
Okay, we can come up with the emergency preparedness plan based on the research, right? Okay.
Evaluate existing measures.
Oh, we can evaluate existing measures also, how effective it is also. Right, good point. Yeah. What
So
else?
imposing controls.
Yeah, imposing controls also we can consider, right? Okay. Okay, with that, we will move to the next slides, highlighting reassessments, what would be the benefit, right? Actually, when we carry out the reassessments, it will tell you whether you are doing enough to protect your workforce from the harm, right? Then when you carry out the reassessment, it's highlight this, the risk level. What are the existing training or information, personal protective equipment, health civilians, those requirements, it will highlight the requirements, right? If you don't have, or if you don't have that sort of things, then you know exactly as actions you have to put those things. It will tell you whether you are doing enough to protect your workforce from the harm. All right, that's one area. Right, other one is the meet the legal requirements, especially when you carry out the normally as per the factory ordinance. It is our employer duty is to employees to provide safe work environment for our employees to work. Right? In order to provide safe work environment, we should identify the ways in which the people can get harm. Right? That means we have to carry out reassessment. Actually, in UK, it is compulsory. Right? UK under the HSE Health and Safety Executive, like at the Labour Department in Sri Lanka, they do have very powerful, legal body in UK, that is HSE, Health and Safety Executive. It's govern all the health and safety stuff in UK. All right. As per that, right, is highlight the requirement of reassessment. If you employ 5 or more people, there is a legal obligation to carry out the reassessment. Right? If you go for the multinational, whatever the things, if you have the mother company in UK or something, then under the UK legislation, you do have that sort of requirements, right? Legal requirements, right? Next, demonstrate good business practice and improve the business performance, right? Shows the good practices. When you have the risk assessments in place, you know exactly, you identify the risk and then you take the controls. From that, it will, avoid any surprises. You can manage properly and you can save the costs also. Because thing is, like if the property damage, if the people get, hurt or people get injuries, then there will be a cost involved with that. But you can, reduce those type of costs, right? That is one part. Another part is the reduce the insurance premium, right? You can reduce the insurance premium as well. How? When you carry out the reassessment, you know exactly what sort of control, then there will not be any sort of accidents happening. Minimal accidents. Then the insurance claims will be very low, right? For example, other things like fire risk assessment. Once in 2 years, there will be a insurance company or insurance broker with that particular company come and carry out the assessments regarding the fire practices in your work environment, because they are going to gauge whatever the insurance premium for you. All right. Then if you have got the fire assessment done, if you have taken the actions for that, then your next insurance premium will get reduced, right? Otherwise, if there's a high risk, their premium will get increased. Other one is enhanced reputation. You know exactly when you carry out the assessment, it will be plus point for you. Assume you are, for example, assume you are, going to win a contract. Then if you supported that with the assessment, this is what, assume a project, you are supposed to do some sort of project as a subcontractor. Then you forward that sort of things with the assessment. Then it would be the, plus point for you, right? It would be the plus point to you. And also, exactly, okay, when you have got the assessment, you do have the very good practices in place. Exactly this particular company is managing their health and safety risks perfectly. They have a previous assessment, they do have a proper control in place and so on. Then the publicity will get increased, because since the accidents are reducing, whatever the property damage is reducing, you will get enhanced the reputation through that, right? Okay. Then other thing, assessments also help us if the existing controls adequate or not, because it shows us whether it is adequate or not. Yeah? And also it prevents injuries or illness when done at the design stage. And another one, prioritize hazard and control. Which hazards and control need to be prioritized. It will highlight based on the risk levels. Then we talk about these hazards, anything which has a potential to cause harm, risk, the likelihood of that hazard to actually cause harm, or likelihood and severity of the hazardous event. Risk equal likelihood of the event, or probability, or severity of outcome or consequence. All right. Okay. Those are very important, because how you do a assessment. This assessment should be done by a competent team of individuals who have, who have a good working knowledge of the workplace. The people who have in the particular good working knowledge, competent team should be there. You can include staff, supervisors, or some workers who work with the process. Under review, as they are the most familiar with the operations, right? When you carry out the assessments, it needs to be done by a competent team of individuals who do have the working knowledge of that particular workplace. You can involve staff or supervisors or workers who are working in that particular processes. Right. And also very important point, you have to include both people familiar with the work area as well as the people are not familiar with that particular work area. Right? Fresh eye. Why I am saying, for example, assume you do have a chemical room. Most of the time, since you are in the factory, you will not feel any sort of smell, because you may have get used to that sort of smell. But assume one person's come from outside, or one person come to carry out any audit, you may have heard that, okay, there's a bad smell coming out. there is a chemical smell coming out, but sometimes you may not, feel that sort of stuff. You will not, having that sort of smell, but the third party person is coming to a stranger coming to your area, he will get to know this, because especially they will feel it. All right. It's very important when we are carrying out the assessment, how are the persons can, for example, assume you are doing in the manufacturing, you can get a person from admin and involve him for that. Then he or she will look in the different view, right? Okay. And also, this particular assessment doesn't have to be complicated. What will happen if it is complicated? People will not carry out this. People think of, oh, mega, this is a trouble. Then they may carry out, and at the first instance with a lot of troubles and so on. But later on, they will not continue with that. They know that this is not easy. Therefore, it should be simple. Doesn't have to be complicated. What's important is that you concentrate on significant hazards. Why we are doing this assessment? From that we can identify the significant hazards, which could have a serious harm or affect for a number of people. If it is affecting for large number of people, we can consider that. Okay, then we will go ahead with what are the steps of carrying out this assessment. There are 6 steps, right? First step, make a list of work tasks that you are responsibility. First, you have to come up with your list of tasks, work tasks that you're supposed to do. Then identify the risks. That means you have to find out what are the hazards related to that. Who might be harmed and how? What are the hazards? Who might be harmed? How the harm will how? For example, hazards will be hit by moving vehicles at the loading bay, reversing vehicle at the loading bay. Who might be harmed and how? Reversing. While reversing, it can harm. Who might be harmed? Maybe security or maybe employees who come into that sort of area and so on. Then step 3, estimate the risk. You are estimating the risk. What is your probability and what is your severity, right? You just estimating. Then evaluating the risk. After estimating, right, likelihood. What is the likelihood? It is low, medium, or high, or with the number you will get it. Or maybe another part also severity, whether it's very low or high, right? Based on that, you evaluate the risk. And normally we understood risk equal likelihood into severity. Then you get the likelihood figure and you get the severity figure, then you multiply, then you will get the risk rating for that. That's called evaluating the risk. Then thereafter, record your findings. Then based on that, what sort of control, existing control, and further controls you have to do and so on. You record the findings. Thereafter, you will review your findings, right? You will review it sometimes, once in a year, or maybe once in 6 months, or maybe once in 3 months, or maybe, when there is any accidents and so on, you will review it, all right? Those are the 6 steps of carrying out the assessment, all right? We will go step by step, detail on this. Right, step 1. First, we have to make a list of work tasks. You do have responsibility in that particular area. The way is to especially work around the workplace. See for yourself what is going on, right? by sitting at the whatever your desk you cannot do. First, you have to go to that particular place and have a walk around and see what is going on, what are the things happening. Then it is usual to include following description of location you manage. For example, loading bay. You are saying this is the area, this is the dimension, and so on. You can have a stretch area, right? And also you can see the people who regular basis coming or time to time coming. For example, visitors or some contractors, time to time they may come. And also sometimes assume young workers, maybe they are trainees or expectant mothers, pregnant women, right, who may have additional needs, disabled persons, likewise. Yeah, you have to identify, right, who are the peoples around that sort of area. And apart from that, permanent temporary piece of equipment, substances used at that location, you have to identify those. What are the permanent equipment, temporary piece activities carried out at different locations also you have to identify, right? Okay, right. For example, it says, if a piece of equipment such as photocopiers and lifting equipments are shared between departments, you need to agree with other managers who will be responsible for doing it. For example, you may have a photocopier, but you know, assume it is in the your admin building. Then there will be finance team, using HR team, using some other administrative, whatever the functions may use. But you should have, specify who is responsible for carrying out the assessment for that particular equipment. It could be HR or it could be finance, and you have to clearly specify that, right? And also activities carried out at a different location. Assume if you are responsible for more than one location, is it possible that some activities are carried out differently at each location, right? Therefore, you need to carry out a separate assessment for both activities at both sides. Sometimes, for example, canteen area. Assume you do have two canteens. One is front side or one is rear side. Then you may say, okay, this is the canteen and you have carried out the assessment. You will keep the same copy for other one. No, it is totally different. Because you are doing in the different location, then there will be specific risk in that sort of area. Then you cannot have the same assessments in that sort of area, right? Therefore, you have to, carry out the separate assessments for that. But sometimes maybe you will find the common hazards, but the risk level would be totally different. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Any clarifications you require? Hello?
No, sir, it's okay for.
It's okay. Okay, right, great. Right, second step. Now, first we can list out the work tasks that you are responsible. Right. Second, identify the risk. That means basically hazard identifications. Who might be harmed and how. We do have observed physical layout, each location activities being carried out. You can speak to your staff and workers around that area and find out whether they consider anything in the workplace to be hazard, right? And you can check the relevant records of the organization like accidents report or near miss report or manufacturer's instructions or manuals or data sheets. Those things you can check. Based on that, you can identify what are the hazards around that sort of area. For example, you may see some of the chemicals they are using, some small paint. But you may say, it is a paint, it has got this smell and so on. But actually, when you go to the MSDS, nowadays it's called SDS, Safety Data Sheet. When you go to the SDS, you may find that is, ink. It has got it is a hazardous ink, right? It could be a UV curing ink or something, right? It has got, if you touch that frequently, you may get the allergic reaction to that, or dermatitis effects likewise, right? Because if you go to that sort of documents like SDS, only you will realize this is hazards and so on, or labeling you can check. And also you can read the hazards related to your area. For example, you can go to the Google and see, okay, what are the health and safety hazards relating to loading bay? And likewise, then you may come across the list of hazards. Then you can see what are the hazards relevant to my areas and so on. Then you will make sure you are capturing all the stuff, right? Therefore, we have to identify the risks, what are the hazards, who might be harmed, and how, right? Okay, right. Just I will check. You cannot see the video now?
Yes, sir.
Can't see, sir.
No, sir. We can't see.
You cannot see,
Can't
no?
see. We can't.
Right, wait. Can you see it? Can you see it or not?
No,
No, sir.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
No, sir.
we
No.
can't.
No. Okay, right. Let me open that video separately and see. Right, okay. Right. Right. Now, can you see the screen video?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you hear the sounds?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Likewise, from there you can identify hazards who might be harmed and how, right? Are you audible? Can you hear my sound?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Right. Next, we call estimate the risk. Then in this, we are giving some scales, weighing up how the serious the risk is. In there, we are considering two things. One, how likely it is contacting with that. And how serious would be the outcome. That's called we are estimating risk. Then we know exactly what are the hazards, who might be harmed and how, And also here, if the hazards events happen, what would be the, how likely the hazards will contact with that, how likely that particular people's or whatever things will contact with that particular hazards, and if it's contacted, what would be the outcome?
Excuse me,
we
sir.
can't
See the slides,
You cannot see the slide.
sir.
Okay, sorry. Mhm. Can you see the slides now?
Now okay, sir.
Okay,
No.
great, super. Right, okay. Then that means we are going to estimate the risk. Just I'm taking some examples, right? We are going to consider one window cleaning situations. Small firms are doing that sort of things. They are using the ladder to clean the windows on 3-story building. 3-story building එක window cleaning they are doing monthly cleaning round. How likely it is they could fall? How likely they can get fall? Then when we consider the likelihood of that particular falling from height, we have to consider followings. We can consider the stability of the ladder, how stable the ladder is, what would be the conditions of the run-ins. If the conditions are not good, for example, assume it is as in the crack or corroded or is not a perfect condition, then we do have a high likely to fall. And type of footwear, what sort of footwear we are having, like a leather shoes or something with a leather, sole, a slippery one, or if you have the perfect, safety shoes with the nice, sole, with the sole, right? Anti-slippery sole, then it would be great, right? And also light levels, whether the poor lighting or there and so on. Then if it is a poor lighting, the likelihood of falling from that height is high, right? Likewise, we have to consider, when we consider the likelihood, if we are going to estimate the likelihood, we have to consider several factors like this. Okay, based on that, you are saying, okay, this is the figure for likelihood, right? For example, this is I'm taking the 3x3 structure here. I'm giving the rating like this. This is the low. That means green. Perfect. Run-ins are good, and you don't have any issue. Stable, this platform, and the top also perfectly, actually attaching to the top area. There's no any sort of issues here. It's low. Then the risk is, likelihood is very low. Fall from here, right? Yeah, you can see the runnings conditions, 1 or 2 broken like this, and even the foot also not like this. Here top area also not seated properly here, not attached there. Then the likelihood of contacting with that falling from height while we are climbing up is high. Sorry, we can say higher than this level, but we can say, okay, medium. Then here you can see they are put in the one, leg is not perfect. Then they have placed bricks and so on supporting. You can see runners conditions, and one side also corroded, and like this you can see the likelihood of contacting with that particular hazard is high, isn't that right? Compared to this, then you can see the likelihood levels, how it is going to be increased. Therefore, in order to, when you are going to estimate the likelihood, you have to consider the conditions of the, steps, and also the, maybe sometimes the environment conditions also you have to consider. Poor light level, or maybe during 12 o'clock or something, there will be sun and glare should be there. Glare will be there. Then it might be more difficult, right? Likewise, windy time, it could be very difficult. Likewise, right? When you consider the likelihood, you have to consider those factors. Then it says, okay, law, if it is unlikely that event will happen. This is low. This called medium, this called high. Okay, clear? Right, that is the likelihood. Right, next. I said when you want to estimate the risk, there will be two factors. One is likelihood. What is the other one? What is the other one? Risk into likelihood. Risk equal likelihood into consequence, right? Outcome of that, right? Then, okay, consequence will be what is the outcome? Okay, fall from height. If somebody is going to, climb up using this ladder to, this ladder to clean the windows while he or she is going, if there's a fall from height, what would be the consequence? Will that be end up with a minor injury or something? First aid, minor finger cut plaster ragging, or maybe lost time injury, 1 to 2 days lost time, or maybe fatal injury. Likewise, the severity will be different, right? Okay, and also if you have got some sort of PPs, safety belts, that sort of attachment, then it will reduce that sort of thing. For example, if you have some sort of floor area, bouncing surfaces or something, if somebody fallen, you will not get the fatal injuries, those type of things, right? Right. Just this is for clarifications only, right? For example, it says first one low. If you go to the second one, it is medium. If you go to the top one, it is high risk. Likewise, then you are saying, okay, this is low, this is high, and this is more dangerous. If you fall from there, definitely fatal injuries. If you fall from here, there will be a permanent disability or whatever temporary. And if you go here, it could be end up with small bruise injuries or something, small first aid injuries, right? Likewise, then they given the ratings like this. Then here it is a high. If it is go to this one, this side it is a high, right? Okay. Then if you want to find out how serious is this hazard, it's very important. You can go to the product information or manufacturer's documentations. Likewise, if you want to find out how serious is that particular chemical, you have to go through the SPS data, the hazards classification, those type of things is very important, right? Whether it is a toxic or whether it's a harmful substance or whether it's create irritations or, all right, or whether it's create environment damage, you can view through the product informations. For example, other one like for example X-ray machines. If you're using those type of thing, X-ray machine, then if you go to the product informations, then you can identify what would be, say, if it is contact with directly with the eyes, what would be the situations and what would be the outcome like, guys. And also the past experience. Assume, right, somebody fallen from the certain height as died, then you know exactly if somebody go there, if it's fallen, definitely it will end up with the death, because it's like a past experience. You know exactly this type of things happen, then you know exactly, therefore we have to give these particular ratings, right? Oh, or legislative requirements or applicable standard. Based on the applicable standards and legislative requirements also, you are giving the rating for that. Yeah? For example, legislative requirements. Assume, all right, we can say, okay, if you take a chemical, sulfuric, it is a dangerous chemicals, right? Then you know exactly if it's you know contact with the eyes and so on, eye burns and so on, then you know exactly with that sort of legislations, you do have special legislations for that. Sorry, special permit requirements to take. Then you can see, and also legislation requirement I can highlight. For example, in UK, they do have a corporate manslaughter. Corporate manslaughter. Under that, it says that you know, if the employers not provide safe clothes for the employees to work for, directors can go into the prison, because it will treat as a criminal offense. Criminal offense. Likewise, based on that, if there's a perfect legislations there, then you can highlight the consequence as a high risk. Okay, right. Or industry code of practice, your industry code of practice or best practices. Based on that, you can decide, right? And material safety data sheets we have already highlighted. Nowadays we call this DS safety data sheets. Information from reputable organizations also. You can get the information from reputable organization, then you know exactly how serious that particular hazard it is. For example, right, one of my previous organization, we wanted to bring the different type of ink. It is hazarding, but we inquire from the suppliers and so on, all the data. And also we just liaise with some other companies who are using those things. We got all the, you know, data related to that, awareness related to that particular chemicals that they are using. And we gone through that, we found it is one of the chemicals giving some hazardous, sorry, it is a hazardous chemicals where if you touch that, then you will get the allergic reaction to skin, so whatever the areas, then it will end up with the dermatitis. All right. Therefore, likewise, you can search those type of informations and liaise with the reputable organization and get those informations. And results of the testing. Based on the results of the testing, also you can consider the, you know, how serious the hazard is. Yeah, biological hazards. Okay, right. Or maybe expertise of the occupational health and safety professional like NIOSH and so on. You can contact the officials over there. Then you can get some advice regarding that particular hazards and so on. And maybe you can go through the previous injuries and see or near miss or accidents reports to find out how serious this hazard is. Because sometimes you may not know. For sometimes, if you ask from the employees, okay, have you have you seen any incidents or any accidents in that you know machines? They might, you know, They might, run the machine without guard, right? You may thought, okay, they are running the guard. If you ask the question, no, sir, we haven't experienced for last 2 to 3 years. Right? But if you go to the previous incidents, maybe 3 years or 4 years before, you may have, or one of your employee have got a nasty experience where their fingers been cut due to contact with that. Then when you search for that one, it will be the outcome will be the very serious. Then your rating will be high, right? That's why in order to see or in order to put the ratings, you have to go through previous accident history or incidents report, near miss reports, etc. Okay. Right. And other factors you can consider the work environment, layout, conditions, as I said, rainy conditions or windy conditions or hot conditions, very cold conditions, work environment, and also capability and skills, experience. New employees, the risk will be high. Experience, competent electrician you are going to use for electrical panel board change or something. Then your risk is low because he's a competent guy. And system of work being used. What sort of system of work used is so safe system of work, SOPs, those things is very important. Based on that, you can see what would be the risk level. Right, I'm going to play a small video now. We'll see. Can you see the video?
Yes, sir.
You can see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, right. From that you reduce likelihood. Now likelihood of contracting that hazard is very low. A measure likely. exactly, the risk level is high, then they adapted to, low risk controls, right? There will be risky combinations also. High speed, fine, Now they also carry out the research. You can see. Right. Okay. Right. Then we say evaluate the risk. First, estimate it, what is likelihood, and what would be severity. We given the rating accordingly. Now we evaluating rate. After estimating and working out the risk level, what you are going to do about it. Right? The higher risk level, more serious and more robust controls needed. If it is a high risk, if it's end up with a fatal or something, then you should have the perfect controls in place. Otherwise, it will have a dead situation. Right? It's very important. Right. Okay. Now you can see this is called 3x3 matrix. 3x3. For example, likelihood, they will measure, give the measure for 3 things, 1, 2, 3, and consequence also they give 3, 1, 2, 3. Like that's we call 3x3 matrix, right? And you can see here likelihood 1, consequence 1. 1 into 1 equal 1. Risk level is 1. Right here, likelihood 2, this one, this gap. Likelihood 2, consequence would be 1. 2 into 1, 2. This is the risk. Huh? Can you hear? Can you hear me or not?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Okay. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great,
Yes.
super. Right, then you can see, sorry, highlight. Right, okay. You can see here, 2. How the 2 come? One consequence is 1, this likelihood is 2. 2 into 1, 2, right? For example, this is 2, this side 1, sorry, this side 1. So 2 into 1, 2. ඒක තමයි මෙතන 2 එන්නේ එහෙම. Here also, here consequence 1, here consequence 1, here likelihood 3. එතකොට 1 into 3, 3. Right here. අපි බලමු 9 නාවේ කොහොමද කියලා. Risk level එක 9. How the 9s come? Consequence 3, make a 3. Likelihood also 3. එතකොට මොකද්ද? 3 into 3 equal 9. Right? එහෙම තමයි risk level එක මේක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. Then as per the 3 by 3 makes it, if the risk is 6 to 9, unacceptable, need to take immediate actions. High risk කියනවා මේ හරිය. එතකොට this one and this one is high risk. You have to take immediate actions, otherwise what will it can end up with the death situations. Right, 3 to 4 තියෙනවා 3 මේ yellow area 3 4 3 then tolerable, look to improve, you can look for improve. 1 to 2 තියෙනවා green area, it is acceptable. You don't have to take actions for that, but you have to give the priority for this, second priority for this level. This is how the evaluate the risk comes, right? Okay. Now I will move to the 5 by 5 matrix. This is the common matrix used by most of the organization because it is easy. But there are other concepts like FMEA method, failure mode effect analysis, right? There also they do have identify this whatever the failure modes relate to the particular hazards. Then they will come across with the rating for the severity, rating for the existing control detections. Likewise, they do have the separate thing, but it will be a little bit complicated. But most of the organizations are using this 5 by 5 matrix because this has got the more clarity rather than if you go for the 3 by 3 matrix. 3 by 3 කියන්නේ, for example, consequence 1, 2, and 3. HRM. 1, 2, and 3. If you say fatal, if you say this is serious or something, then this is low කියන්න පුළුවන්. But where you put permanent disability or maybe lost time injuries, there's no any section to put, right? If you go to the 5 by 5 matrix, you have a more clarity on that. For example, it says this is this side severity. This side is severity, right? You can see severity, minor, lost time accidents or ill health. Second, over 3 days accident, lost time, it's coming to here. Or permanent disability, it's coming to here. And fatal or sight loss, සමහරක් ගින්නක් වෙලා sight loss වෙනවා. Likewise, you have a more detailed here. When you come to this side, probability, highly unlikely, right? එකයි, unlikely නම් දෙකයි, possible නම් 3යි, probable නම් 4යි, certain, it is certain 5. Right? Likewise, as I highlighted, then you are doing the rating based on this area. For example, if you say trips and fall, that particular hazard, okay, right. trip and fall hazard. We do have steps over there. Then it is not marked and it is having the slippery tile or something. Then is it highly unlikely or unlikely, possible or probable? What is the rating you can give? I said there is a small steps, right? But that particular steps made from the tile which has got the slippery condition, but it is in the area where the most of the people's using that. It is on the factory entrance, right? Always there will be some sort of water drops into that sort of area. Then strips and fall hazard. What would be the probability of or likelihood of contacting with that hazard?
Certain.
Certain. Okay. Any other comments?
Probability.
Probable. Okay.
Probable.
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 Again,
Okay.
probable.
Possible.
Right. Sorry.
Possible.
Possible. I just type on this. You type 5 the 4 the 3 the කියලා rating එක දාන්න immediately chat box එකේ. Okay. 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 Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Likewise, then most of the people saying 4, but we are saying, oh, not certain. There was any sort of things happen, and there's no any sort of near miss happen, but but probability is high. Okay, 4. Then we give the rating 4. Right. Assume if somebody slips and fall, what would be the consequence or what would be the severity? Right? Just mark the severity ratings. Severity gala S, 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the gala da. Right? Tang A step එකේ slip වෙලා වැටුණා. වැටුණාට පස්සේ area එකේ තියෙනවා මොනවද කානුවක් වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා. It's made up of the concrete. There are some sort of some metal irons. ඒ වගේ stroke එකක් තියෙනවා side දෙක. Right. Then give what is the rating for severity? Please give the rating for severity. Okay, S3, 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 3, 2, 3, 4. Three, okay. Okay, thank you. Right, you can see, right. We give 4 and most of the people give 3. Then we agree, okay, we can have a chat and get the previous status. Based on that, we are saying, okay, over 3 days lost time happened. There wasn't any sort of things, even other industry, we never heard that. Therefore, this would be the thing. Okay. Now 3 given. Okay. Here 3 given. 3. Here we given 4. So 4 into 3. We can make 4 into 3 කියන්නේ here 12. 4 into 3 12. Okay, here කියන්නේ 25 ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. 25 ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? What would be the severity and probability? Here the severity කීයද එතන? මේ 25 risk level එක එන්න 5 yeah 5 federal side lot certain. Okay, 25. Okay, great. For example, here 8. May 8 ආවේ කොහමද කියන්නේ?
4 to 2.
Yeah, 4 කියන්නේ if you say the likelihood it is 2 into severity 4. 8 likewise. Then you know exactly how it is coming, right? Then as per this red area is the high risk area. If it is pertaining to this red zone, it is a high risk area. Then we know we have to put the robust control management program, these things. This is yellow area is the moderate area. A first priority for the controls is here. Then these things we can look further to improve. This green area, you don't have to worry about this. Clear? Understood? There another? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then based on that, we are gauging the risk levels. Okay. Right. If it is in 25 or 20 or 15 or 20 or 15, whatever in this area, you have to make sure you are taking the robust කියන්නේ ඔයා දන්නවනේ ඒ කියන්නේ කිසිම වරදක් වෙන්න බෑ. If there is a small issue, then it will end up with a fatal or permanent disability. Right? That's why we are saying that first priority, high risk area. All right? Okay. So when you carry out, when you identify the hazards, areas when you do for your organization, you may come across it. What are the red areas? එතකොට 25 ඒවා places පහක් තියෙනවා. Or hazards පහක් තියෙනවා. Then you have to give the priority for those. Because one of the things will end up with the fatal. Therefore, you have to have the robust control. High risk area. Right? Next. Now, we have gone through list your tasks or activities. Second, we said identify the hazards and how it can harm and who are the people exposed to that particular hazards. And third, we said estimate the risk, likelihood, whether it is 4 or 5 or something, the severity, whether it is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? And based on that, we say evaluate the risk. That means, for example, if you say likelihood 5, consequence 5 into 5, 25. We evaluate the risk level as 25. Then record your findings. Now you have completed the assessments and you will need to record your finding. What are the finding? Details of the persons carry out, date වෙන්න පුළුවන්, location, what sort of equipments, what sort of hazard identified, what sort of existing controls, how well they work, and date of review of the assessment. These things need to be done. For example, in order to record your finding, you can use this type of formats, right? I will take one format and show you, all right? Normally during the physical class, I'm breaking up to the small groups. and ask them to give them the in the NIOSH area, different areas, ask them to do the assessment. Then thereafter they have to present, right? Then based on that, I correct whatever the mistakes over there. That's how we are normally doing. But unfortunately, online is not permitted. But whatever the practical session we will do when we meet again physically, all right? Definitely, what I will do is I will put that's for the your assignments, all right? Individual assignments. Then, as part of this exercise, you may have to do the individual assessment. From that, then you can forward me. I can do any corrections, then give your feedbacks and so on. Right? Normally, apart from this, whatever the things we are giving the group assignments presentation. Normally, presentation would be you have to visit one of the organization. Thereafter, you have to see what are their systems to identify the risk, and then give your recommendation to improve those things. But right, I will change the assignments for this group separately because I want you to do an individual assessment, maybe area and so on. We can go through later on, right? Okay, right. Let me open one of the assessment form and take through that, how to record those things. Can you see this?
Yes.
Can you see the form?
Yes, sir.
Is this visible or do I have to enlarge it? Can you see? For example, can you read it or not?
Difficult to read.
Can't read.
We can't read, sir. Not clear.
Not clear, sir. Not clear.
Now?
Now,
How
okay.
about now?
Now we can
Now
read.
Okay, right, great. Just I will take you through. I can share this later on. For example, site or departments, you have to highlight tasks, activity or area. That's the task. There might be some tasks that you are carrying out, or maybe small activities that you are carrying out, or maybe area that you are doing. It could be area assessment, tasks, or material also you can do, right? For example, this is one of the machine, unloading and installations assessment. Notes. In the notes, you have to identify any previous accidents or incidents. This says no previous incident, but there was a near missing collapsing metal part of the gantry. There was a gantry to lift those things, but there was a small near miss reported where one of the part being collapsed from the gantry. Then it's recorded here. Then reassessment team. Who are the reassessment teams? Right, members engage with the reassessment. Manager, supervisor, EHS advisor, you can put whatever the names. Right, a date of reassessment and review of reassessment. For example, review. Then you can put next year date or something after 1 year. Or whether you have to end of the project or anything you can highlight. Then people at risk. Who are the people at risk? People, and also if you want to put within the bracket numbers also you can put it there. Whether the visitors, contractors, or all years or members of public, or operators, or engineers, or other employees, security or maintenance guys, you can highlight whatever. And department manager and his signature. Because very important. Normally, what you have to do is once you carry out the reassessment, you have to brief to department manager, get his signature. That means he's agree with this. He's agree with the risk rating and controls. That's the agreement. That's why he has to sign here. This is very important. Just I will minimize it. It's like one-page documents like this, right? Where you can see here there is ratings here. Guidance you can see assessment number you can put over here, and also you can see reference number, task 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever things, and hazards or clear injury causes highlighting the risk. The manual handling hazards. Then score without any control. Assume there's no any control. What would be the score? What would be the risk level? Then what are the existing control? Now what are the existing control? If we follow this existing control, what would be the risk level? The main existing control follow, you will get up to this risk. All right. And what are the further action required? If further action required, once you establish those actions, you can give the priority, then you can add as extending control when you reviewing this risk assessment again. Right. Okay, we will go one by one. For example, manual handling. Score without any control. That means assume manual handling, we don't have any control in place, right? There's no any control and so on. People will, drag, whatever, lift, move, pull, push, anything like that. Then without control, assume, right, okay, there's a manual handling activities going on. If you did not have any trained employees and so on, what could be the possibility? Okay, it could be probable, right? What would be the severity? It could be more than 3 days. More than 3 days. So 4 into 3, 12. It's 12. That's the 12 level. 12. Here 12 level. What are the controls on a company? On the PPs, lifting equipments always were required. Use proper techniques, cordon off the area, clean before operation. Then if you adapt those controls, what would be the risk level, right? For example, here, he was here, 12. Right? Make a carefully balagan. This is very important, right? This is very important, right? Wait, how can I get this? I'm not sure how to get the point for this. Screen one. Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. Right. Methana තියෙන 12 නේ. මෙතන තමයි අපි කිව්වේ here. I will 12. Man podi red අකුරකින් ලකුණු කරා just to give you some understanding. The 12, that means probable for and more than 3 days. Now see, then we adapt this control. PPs, lifting equipments, cordon off, likewise. Training name controls. If you follow 100% those controls, your risk level will go down. They are saying 3. 3 means here. Highly unlikely if this happen more than 3 days. එතනට move වෙලා. හරිද? එතනට move වෙලා තියෙන risk level එක. It's gone to that level. 3. The thing is here, but it did not change any sort of severity, right? Severity will get changed when you change the environment. Until that, only thing was sort of whatever the controls that you are establishing will directly impact to reduce the probability. But severity will get changed only if you change the environment. For example, කෙනෙක් වැටෙනවා. අපි කියමුකෝ පොඩි ළමයෙක් සෙල්ලම් කරන්න ගිහලා ප්ලේග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එක වැටෙනවා. වැටුනාම දනිස්ස තුවාල වෙනවා. ඒ වගේ දෙන්න පුළුවන්. කල් කැලි ඒ වගේ. Then you have a bruised in injuries, wounds, then you have them some sort of, severity for that. Right. Assume you are for the particular playground, you fully put in some, that what we call rubberized stuff, where even when the kids are fallen onto that, they will not get any bruising injuries, no wound also, right? Then that is means, okay, the severity of that will get changed. Minor injury level එකට පොඩියට යන්න පුළුවන්. Likewise. මෙතන තිබ්බනම් ඊට වඩා අඩුවට යනවා. When you change the environment on it will get changed. Otherwise, it will remain as it is. Severity as it is. Only thing probability එක තමයි. මෙතනින් තමයි වැඩිපුර controls needed. For example, assume the certain. You have a certain. If you come up with the proper mechanisms and so on, it will be like 5. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ 5 ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ probability එක තමයි attack කරා තියෙනවා. But still, if this control fails, if something happen, it can end up with the fatal. That's what it's saying. Okay? All right. තව එකක් අපි බලමු. Supervisions. Yeah, okay. Just try. Let me check another. Wait. Okay, fine. Reduce this. Okay, right. Right. Other one, just I want to highlight. Okay. Now you know exactly this 12 the existing control. After that, what is this? The further action. Further action. You have to highlight what are the further actions is required. Right? Then you can put the high or low, medium priority. For example, I will take working. Yeah. You cannot see the slides, no?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now you can see the slide?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Okay. Okay, right. I will take this. Right. We will take some of things like, I will say, contact with voltage. Contact with high voltage. Sorry. Assume doing some sort of some activities at your main panel board area. Contact with high voltage. Right. Contact with high voltage. Assume there are a lot of staff there. There's no any sort of mechanism to avoid unauthorized access. And there will be a low skilled persons over there. New electrician කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. HR experience එකක් නැහැ. ඒ වගේ දේවල්. Risky behavior තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි what would be the probability? 1 to 5 දුන්නොත් කීයද දෙන්න පුළුවන්?
5.
5. Okay, 5.
5.
Or if they contact with that high voltage, what would be the factor? What will happen? Fatal. Yeah,
Fatal.
5.
Yes.
It could be 5. 5 into 5, it is 25. Okay, 25. Right, 25. This is assume poor organization. There's no any control. No control. There's no any control at place. Huh? Okay. What would be the scope of control? What would be the scope of control? Oh, we say signage. Small, high voltage signage. Right. On a high voltage signage එකක් විතරයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. What would be the risk level after post control? Likelihood? Certain? It could be, no? High voltage දැම්මට කවුරුත් ගණන් ගන්නෑ. Poor මේක ඒක ගැන දන්නේ new electricians just it could be certain, no? Yes.
Yes.
Right. If it's happened, 5 to 5, 25. Okay. Then that means it's still high. Then what are the further action? What are the further action you can do? Right. One. What are the actions? And this is robust control data. What are the actions?
Put in the signboard and barricade.
One is, you can, control access control to panel board area. Only competent people to vitarai den, electrician to vitarai yanna tiyenne. That should be high priority. Right. What else?
Keep the insulation carpet.
Insulation.
Keep the
Insulation carpet. Right. That's also high killer.
Lotto system applied. Applied lotto system. Applied lotto system.
Okay, lotto system. Right. Implement lotto system. You are saying
Proper PP use.
Yeah, that's a good point. Lotto system. We are saying okay. We are saying it take fine, medium. We can say medium killer. PP. High voltage. High voltage gloves. Right. Then we say high. Frequency high. Then those are the actions you have to take. Immediate action. Then you will come up with the action plan and put the whatever the peoples and put the dates and get done those actions. When you get done those action, right? What will happen when you are reviewing this risk assessment? Those action, assume you have implemented. Those actions will come to here. Apart from this, once you review only, once you implement it will come to here. Alright, it will come to here. You can say now on 25 without action. Those action with those action. Okay, certain with those action it can end up to 5 or something. 5. Isn't that? Okay. Then what is the other thing? You can say supervision or audits. That is, you can say medium or low priority. You can give whatever, or we say medium. And then this one, with that sort of actions, then it will reduce to this. Only here we are establishing the existing controls. Just remember. Then here we are establishing what are the controls required. Once you implement those things, then again you have to review it. Those implemented control, you should put it to here. When you review the risk assessment using those things, your risk level will get reduced. Understood? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Here the existing control with right. Okay, they here the further controls, right? Okay. What make ඕන audit එකක් යම් action එකකට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Likewise, this is already okay. 20 or 25. Yeah, that. Here also you can see may area එකෙන් තමයි ගියේ. හරිද? For example, if you say low voltage, this convert into the low voltage. That means totally you are changing. Then low voltage hours, your severity will get reduced. Unless you change the environment, it will not get reduced. Only thing you will play with the probability. මම කිව්වේ එකයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ environment එක change කරොත් විතරක් ඒකේ severity එක change වෙනවා. But ඒක කරේ නැත්නම් what will happen, right? Only you are playing with the probability. A probability අඩුවීමෙන් තමයි your risk level එක down. ඒක clearද? Understood?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is how you record the findings, right? This is how you record the finding. එතකොට ඔයාගේ තියෙනවා area එකට you can say whether it is a area assessments අපි area wise අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගිය පාර කරේ අර sheet එකක් මන් දුන්නේ ඒක කාරණේ කියලා you can say okay area wise දාන්න පුළුවන් site or department wise or activity. For example, this called engineering. Then සමහරක් වෙලාවට වෙන්න පුළුවන් engineering. This is called task. We can what we can say building demolition, right? Then there will be activity හැටියට ගත්තොත් okay, working at height. Working at engineering department, working at height activities, so that they are doing the assessment, roof level, whatever, or welding or grinding, grinding, GRIN, grinding using the bench grinder and the bench grinder activity. Then you are doing the assessment like this. You can do as per whatever you want, whether it is a substances වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ වගේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. Sorry, again I forget to mention. There it is. That also I forget to mention. Right. Right. And also there is a next page. You will have make a one page whatever. If you have more hazards, you can put it, right? Likewise, then the final page you will have like this hazards list and possible controls. Tick කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඔයා දන්නවා මේ area එකේ හරි whatever මේ hazards තියෙනවා. Electric shock තියෙනවා, cuts and hand tools, machinery equipments, then our control, our isolating job, procedures, ඒ වගේ you can put it. This is summary. You can work on that. මේක තියෙන්නේ නිකන් summary එකක් හැටියට මේ වගේ hazards තියෙනවා, මේ වගේ controls you can adapt, right? But very important is this side, right? The area, review dates, and signature from the manager. and who are the people who done the assessments. How they affected RTN. This simple. For example, from this, you can look at whatever the information. From that, you can see what are the high risk areas in your organization. Okay? Okay. Right. What the Khatya then join in. You were in order. Right. Likewise, this is how you record the findings. The next one, review the assessment. Review. We are reviewing all the information. For example, review your findings. Very important. As a good practice, we are doing annually or soon. You can establish 6 monthly, whatever. But, right? If there's new changes for MSDS or new informations come, for example, assume cholesterol, cholesterol, now, okay, sorry. Now, carcinogenic substances, then if you are using the coconut oil here, then your risk level will be high. You have to review the assessment. Understood? MSDS then you can review. Oh, new legislations come. Legislation now, then you know you have to review. Oh, accidents happen. Accident then you have to review assessment. Oh, normally as annual you are doing it. If there's accidents happen, you are doing it. If there's a place changes or anything you relocate it, so you have to do it. If there's an employee change, for example, there will be new employees coming to your section and carrying out, then you have to review the assessment. Likewise, if there's substances changes, you have to do it. If there's a process changes, you have to do it. Likewise, right? If there's any changes like that, you have to review your assessment. Understood? Clear? Thermal?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. So monitor and re-evaluate, confirm the risk control. Very important. You have to monitor, re-evaluate, risk control.
Not clear the screen.
Not clear. That means you cannot. It is not visible.
Not clear the font of the slide.
Slides share. How about now? That pay nothing.
No, sir. No.
Now it's clear, sir.
A little bit
Clear. All right. Yes. Clear, sir.
Okay, right. Okay. All right. Very, very important documentation. How do you do the assessment? When you're doing the assessment, take into account methods, procedures used in processing, use handling, storage, substances, the potential exposure of the workers. These things we already discussed. The measures, procedures need to be controlled such as exposure by means of engineering control. Very important. You learn about the controls during last lecture, hazards controls. When you come to the controls, we do have a hierarchy of control. First, eliminate hazards or substitute hazards. If you cannot substitute, then say the engineering controls or administrative controls, thereafter PP. Likewise, you have to adapt the hierarchy of control when you are setting up the controls, right? Triggers for review assessment. If you start a new project, change the process, or if you change the layout also, you have to review the assessment. If you bring additional tools, if you add in new equipments or machineries for that particular area, you have to. As I said, if you put the change to employees, new employees, move into a new building or work area. For example, if you are relocating your building or workshop to different place, then you have to review the assessment. You cannot use the assessment that you have done at that previous place, right? Introduction of new chemicals or substances, definitely you have to review it. when new information become available about the current product, yes, and also if there is a new legislation change, accidents happen, those then is give you trigger for review the assessment. Okay, and it should be suitable. You have to take into account severity of hazards, well-known type of activity, and it's very important. And sufficient hierarchy of preventions, as I said, right? You have to adapt that, and it should be systematic, a logical method. 6 steps. You have to follow the 6 steps, right? Then finally, just I highlight. We are saying the crocodile principle. This is, I'm not testing this. This is for your explanation purposes. First, identify the risk. Okay, we know, right? This crocodile teeth is how big it is, and so on. Then evaluate the risk. What would be the severity and consequence? Bite karana, you know. Then you know. Okay. Then you come up with estimating the risk. Okay, right? Estimate, evaluate, then eliminate risk. Eliminate then bayina මොකක්ද ගන්නෙ substitute අන්න මෙයාව පැත්තකට දාලා පොඩි කොටි පැටියෙක් ගේනවා, right? Okay, මෑන්න bayina මොන isolate it. මෑන්න කොටු කරලා දානවා, isolate it. Then next one, okay, බැරිම තැන personal protective. Right, this is a hierarchy of control, just to show you. Right, otherwise right, okay, this is just this is the control that we have to adapt in. Then risk, we have already covered the process of carrying out the risk assessment. It's very important. 6 steps is there. I have explained each and every step how it should be done in the methodical way, right? Then there will be dynamic risk assessment, because sometimes he's excavating this, digging the trench using this. Then what could be the risk factors here? Dynamic means it's changing. While he carrying out, there will be change make. What will happen? Fumes in the bad fumes, or sometimes soil hit, it can get collapsed. Therefore, you have to identify those things, right? It's very important. It's very important. For example, here, okay, right. I hope you have understood that. Have you got any questions related to this area?
No, sir.
Oh. Okay.
So I have a small request.
And also, right, I will have another lecture for that, because normally this is the full day program, right? There will be another lecture covering this small area. What I will do is, wait. Yeah, I will ask Prashani to organize. It would be a 1-hour session, another, right? We can cover the possible controls. It will give them more idea regarding that. Right, you can ask the questions. Yeah, tell me. Hello. Yeah. Any questions? Hello. Can you hear me or not?
Clear?
Yeah.
Clear, sir?
No questions.
No questions. Oh, you want to go quickly, huh? Right. If you don't have any questions, we can wind up the class for today.
So can
Especially,
you share with the presentation.
Yeah, I will share the presentations via Prashani, right? Definitely.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Last time presentation already shared, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Sir,
This one we will share via Prashani, and also it's very important. The reassessment process you have to get familiarized. I will, send you the assignments also, and maybe next day we will have a 1.5 hour sessions to cover the controls part also, just to give you some flavor regarding the possible controls that we can add up with some sort of practical exercises, right? Then if you don't have any question, we can wind up the class for today. Okay. Wish you all the best.